Me Immortalites, welcome back to an edition of the Outdoors Meanderings. We haven't done one of these in a while, and that is because Juan over here, has now been just a little bit over a month since having a little baby girl come into my life and starting to finally get out and about. We got Karen on the other side as well.
Karen here. Hello.
Today is the 11th of June 2023, and so we come to you at the moment outdoors in the Brisbane Southbank area. For those of you who know the Brisbane area, for those who don't, if you are somewhere else in the world or somewhere else in Australia, it's a beautiful space here in the Brisbane near the city. We essentially
sunny, right by the river.
Yeah, by some trees. We're seeing people walking about, people sort of peering at us. I get often now messages where people will share with me, hey, I saw you doing the podcast. I didn't stop by, just I didn't want to interrupt you. Although we've had that in the past. We've also had security interrupt us. So who knows what's going to happen with us today. But I'm going to kick this off in Meanderings. There's a bit of a chance for us to just discuss what's been happening, what's been on our mind, what's important, what's not. And I've got a good one for you.
Okay.
And it comes from the world of Duolingo and some languages.
Oh, Duolingo.
Now, I've been scamming Duolingo over the last few months.
Scamming
and they got
them?
me back. Well, let's just say taking advantage. I've been taking advantage of them. And
You've been selling your gems on in the black market?
No. Not anything as complex as this. It's purely Duolingo every now and again will give you, hey, would you like a free trial of 14 days of Super Duolingo? Now, Super Duolingo makes, for me at least, because I use it by the phone, it's unlimited hearts, so I can go as many times I want and as many failures as I want to go and take on. I don't have to use a duels system, so I don't have to pay for using special training or extra stories or legendary training, right? Awesome. Now, often with this, they go free trial, 14 days. So what have I been doing for the last few months? I'll get the 14-day free trial. I'll cancel it straight away on the subscription with Apple. I'll get the free 14 days. Awesome. Why not? Until last week.
You got burnt. You forgot.
So last week, no, not that I forgot. So last week, it was pulled a sneaky. So once again, I was having a bit of a game of Duolingo, and as per usual with the failures of one sometimes, I was trying to do one lesson, like my first lesson of the day, and I got all 5 hearts wrong, smashed it out, which essentially meant I could not do any more lessons for a while unless I went and undertook some practice. But I was a bit agitated. I knew, hey, I wanted to get this lesson done. I was 3 questions away from completing it and doing a few more. Come on now. So I saw the button that said, hey, free Super Duolingo. I went, of course, that's what I want. Clicked it as per usual. Now, silly me, that this is definitely on me, but they got me in the end, Duolingo, because it didn't say 14-day free trial, right? So there's my first mistake. They kind of sneakily removed the 14-day free trial. It just looked exactly as I've been using in the past, but without that little, extra detail, which, look, it's not tiny, but I should have seen it. I didn't, because I was infuriated by missing out on this lesson. And so I went through that step and then got myself even harder because you can choose to pay Duolingo monthly or yearly. And I went, it doesn't matter. Just click the yearly button. Just click the yearly button. Click the yearly button. Clicked it. Submitted it. I went, it's all good.
Brilliant.
So submitted it. Finished off the lesson. I was like, I'm really happy with myself.
Feeling good, yeah.
And then, I don't know, something was itching at the back of my neck. I went, I'll get rid of the Duolingo straight away. I can go to the Apple subscription, get rid of it. And then I read, subscription ends 5th of June, 2023, sorry. I went, wait a minute. What's this? What do you mean? Oh, sorry.
No, 2024.
Sorry, 2024. Yeah. I went, hold on a moment. This is going to be... even then, I thought, oh, wow, I got away with it. I've got a whole year's free. When then the usual familiar little notification, bing, comes through of my bank, $123 deducted from your account. I went, damn, they got me.
Nice.
They got me. So now I am the grateful
proud
owner of a year subscription of Duolingo, which, look, it has prompted me to use it more to a sense. So, I look at it in that relation. It's positive to see it, but well done, Duolingo. You got me there, and to probably all the others who have been scamming with the 14-day free trial and scamming. I reckon they must have a system where it's, they'll let you do it 2 or 3 times, and then they'll pull it up and get you without that extra detail.
They've probably, someone's been selling on your data that you've had a baby recently, so they're like, okay, well, he's probably a little bit distracted.
Maybe.
We can maybe get away with this. Optimize algorithms for getting money out. To be fair, you have used it a lot, and I was on the border point. I used this one called Spanish Dict, DICT, not SpanishDict.com. Don't go there. And Spanish Dict was amazing for me in learning Spanish because it had probably one of the best translation services I'd seen, and in particular for individual words. You type an individual word in, whether it be English or Spanish, and it would come up with the translations and just a myriad of subtle different translations of how it could be. And you'd get this, and then it would have, example sentences underneath. They had an actual Spanish speaker saying the word, pronouncing it correctly.
Details.
Amazing service. I used it for free for a long time. Then it started doing some stuff where if you used 5 searches within a month or something, it started saying like, hey, can you pay? Or you have to enable ads, because I had ad blocker on.
Ooh.
And it was around this time where I was kind of stepping away from my Spanish learning, so I wasn't using it as much. And I went, I don't need this as much as I used to. But I ended up just being like, man, I've got so much value from this. And, the value for value kind of lifestyle made me just go, screw it. I'm going to pay for this even though I won't use it. So I did that, and I felt good about it. So
look, in the end, after I calmed down from the annoyance of the expectation, right? Because it's expectation that makes you annoyed. I was expecting 14 days free, not to pay $123 and get it for a year. But look, when you reflect on it, and again, the cost over a whole year is pretty minimal over the month to month, even though I've paid it up front. And look, the benefit I'm probably going to get from it is an extra 10-15% that I was doing before. Sure, now it does at least focus me in, can I get this French Duolingo finished by the end of my year? Dude, I'm still pretty far away. Yeah. Plus all the stories and everything. I'm just skipping all the legendary. However, look, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Legendary adds a lot.
A lot. So, but part of it does help me out as well. It is helpful to try and do it without all the extra little hints and tips and the ability to check when you really want to and force you to kind of learn. So, look, undoubtedly, it was on me, so I'm not blaming Duolingo, but be wary, folks. I want to pull up another point there because I'm going to rage about this. Advertising, right? Because you just talked about ads and, you pay for the ads. I'm going to call out 2 people. First, Tom Bilyeu, right? So Tom Bilyeu podcast I've really been enjoying.
Can I guess? I've been hearing that there are some podcasts out there which are 12 minutes long and they have 2 sets of ad breaks.
Oh no, get ready for way worse than this. Now Tom is not the I'm not going to go harsh on him, but I will go on a second person. So the first one, Tom Bilyeu, long podcast, right?
What's his podcast called?
So Tom Bilyeu is Impact Theory, I believe it's called, and he's got a few others. He does have a few others through his wife as well, and they're long, an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I'm going to say, dude, that it's scattered with about 12 ads, 14 ads. Sometimes I have to skip 6-7 minutes at the beginning, like click, 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 and then there's no, information about when it should be skipped, which really irks me.
Yeah.
And I'm going click, 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 click until I get through just to starting talk. Dude, that's frustrating. Now I've started to see where I go, hey, come on now, like this is really annoying. He has enabled an ability to have ad-free podcasts, and I've got one of the NFTs, a Relentless Impact Theory key, which would allow that. I went, freaking fantastic. God, at least I'm getting some use for this NFT. Go to the website, go to set it up. I click on the thing, sign up with the MetaMask item. It recognizes I've got a Relentless key, and it goes, you need a higher level. You need a heroic or legendary, which costs a lot more. I went, this is a bit of bullshit.
Yeah,
like,
that is some
you've
BS.
actually called it out here in the outside that we can do with this, and I've gone to the website to use it, and you've told me no. I went, that's pretty dodgy. Like, where the failure here, the website or the advertising? So,
yeah,
look,
I feel like that is one of the minimum things that should be done.
Yes.
If you bought into someone's thing, and we'll just say NFT project here, if you're supporting them, I feel ad-free is kind of the bare, that should be the base minimum.
Yeah, base minimum, and it isn't. So, a little bit
extra content on top of that, maybe.
Yep. Yep. Look, so that kind of irked me. Fine, whatever. I'll leave it. I'll deal with it. The one I can't deal with, I can't believe I'm saying this, is someone that I really enjoy reading his books. I read a ton of his books. I'm going to do a book review just recently of his latest one. Ryan Holiday. Have you ever listened to any Ryan Holiday podcasts?
I haven't, no.
He's got 2 podcasts, folks. I'm fairly sure it's only 2. He's got The Daily Stoic and The Daily Dad, right? And I found out about The Daily Dad very recently. The Daily Stoic, he has interviews with people. And look, they're about 40, 50 minutes. I think I've listened to one, and there was a handful of ads. And this is not just the ads of, him talking. It's inserted ads, which is even more annoying. I hate that. I hate those. There's a normal Daily Stoic, dude, which are 8 minutes. and I swear to you, there's about 5 ads in there, right? In 12 minutes, which is that one I've tried to listen to a few times, and usually when I'm driving. And I'll tell you what, I find myself, I'll play it, skip. So I find he starts talking, maybe it's for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then another ad, and I go, I don't know if I can listen to this. Is almost more ads than it is the main piece. And then comes the Daily Dad. And I'm shitting you not, this is absolutely true story. I went, hey, this would be pretty cool. I like Ryan Holiday. I like the concepts. It'd be awesome to get this applied to like the dad life because he's a dad. Those podcast episodes are the length of about 2 minutes to 5 minutes, and they still have about 3 ads in them. Dude, I listened to one that was 2 minutes, and I really checked it. It was about 40 seconds. Less than 40 seconds of him saying something about the topic. The rest was ads. And an intro. And an outro. Yeah. And I went, look, we've gotten bashed before on YouTube around posting things that are, that's not deep. That wasn't good content. Why would you put this out there? Honestly, those comments that go into those reels are better than that episode from Ryan Holiday. I'm calling that out. Like, that is bullshit. So I went, man, I really enjoy Ryan Holiday for his books, but that is woeful behavior. If there's like a paid version so you don't get that, fine, whatever. But that made me feel like you. That made me go, that is atrocious advert behavior. I cannot wait for this to go away.
Yeah. Just good transition, I suppose, onto just the general ad market and podcasting, and why, value for me is more of an ethical choice. But even in terms of business sense, I think it's the correct thing to be doing. If you listen to the conversation ad with Chris Fisher, he's kind of in a mixed world. He does a lot of value for value, and he does advertising. And basically what's going on at the moment is all the advertising is getting sucked out of podcasting and seems to be going to YouTube and TikTok. So the actual amount of spend for those ads. So what that means is podcasts who normally rely on, X amount for their model to work to finance themselves, they're either going to have to put more ads in, which is maybe what's happening with Ryan Holiday and Tom Bilyeu, or they're going to have to run lean and mean for a while. They'll have to start offering additional services and maybe start looking more at monetizing from their audience.
Now, let's point out, though, these people are not hurting for cash. Not even in the slightest.
Probably not. But I don't know. Tom Bilyeu's, his looks like a full TV set production that he's going on. So it's not like it's a quick and dirty, easy podcast, minimal cost like we have.
Cool.
He's probably got makeup. He's got lighting. He's got audio production, video production. There'd be a whole crew behind that stuff. But that's because he's doing video, and video is just
a bit more.
But it takes a lot more. Man, there's some funny things as well related to just consuming content, what you can handle, what you can't handle. I was using Patreon for a while, listening to Andreas Antonopoulos. I had to cancel it. It just got to the point where I went,
that's it.
I cannot justify using this. And this is where kind of the better technology wins. Patreon's not great technology. I don't like the kind of model that they use, and the company itself gives me some red flags, just like the CEO and a bit of reading into it. But it does, he read out one of my questions, and I was asking him, when you look at Bitcoin and your kind of convictions around it, how much of that is based around the actual technology and how much of that is based around the people and going to meetups and whatnot? What do you think his answer was to that?
Damn. I would have said maybe 50-50.
Yeah. From what I gathered, he didn't give a ratio, but he said the majority of it was from the actual going to meetups. It was more reacting to how other people are reacting to this. Do they find it interesting? Are they getting excited by this? It's almost like the classic thing, the better technology will win. Well, not necessarily. It's not guaranteed that it will win.
That'll be the
thing.
thing.
It's more how people are reacting to it. So that's kind of why I go to the Bitcoin meetups, to be honest, why I kind of spend so much time in the podcasting value for value world as well. It's really just to see what are other people interested in, what are they excited about. And there's some really cool, exciting things, but I'm going to do the next Meanderings. I think I'll talk a little bit
Talk
about
a bit more
that.
about
So,
that.
yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about something else that's quite exciting to maybe not Peter, but definitely to me.
Oh, God.
Dude, I am the proud winner of the UCF number 4 that just went wide. Do you know what UCF 4 stands for?
Universal Coordinated Farting.
No. But for those at home who have or have not listened to me talk about cockpunch from Tim Ferriss NFT,
Yes.
it is the ultimate cockfighting championships.
Okay.
And I won the 4th round of it, the big 4 rounds. It was a tag team partnership with the Golden Kev, the Golden Balls.
Beautiful.
And I think we were called the Golden Balls pair or something like that. Anyways, it was, it went through like heats, semi-finals, finals. Now, if you haven't checked out a full Ultimate Cockfighting listenership, I think you should go. You can go to Discord and sort of tune in.
I have
Dude,
not.
it's pretty cool in the sense that they get this one guy who's awesome at narrating, basically from a chat GPT or equivalent printout of what the battle goes like, and he goes, something into the essence of, Hakusei of the Wild cuts off the massive balls of, Twisting the terrible, and he comes over the top. So, it's quite cool. In the end, so the winnings is I'll cut it short. There's another NFT. It's a cockpunch NFT, which is valued at whatever it may be at the moment, probably 600, 700 Australian dollars, and it's not yet in my wallet, but it's almost there. It's going to get dropped in. But I don't necessarily need it myself. Sure, another X1, fine, cool, awesome to have. But I thought, so the reason that that particular round happened, Ultimate Cockfighting number 4, is someone actually sponsored it. It was a guy who's creating Moonbird designed e-scooters over in the US. I thought that's pretty cool because they can run sponsorships in the Cockpunch group. And of the latest, it used to have 200 or 300 people in Discord, the Tim Fans Discord, and Tim called it out for something to go and jump in when he was having the conversation, and it ballooned to 600, 700 people. Oh, so that's pretty cool. I wonder, and I wanted to voice this out loud to you in the podcast. Do you think that I should sponsor the very next one, Ultimate Cockfighting number 5, by saying I will give this NFT back away? Not for the winner though. Now, I didn't want to go down that path to go, oh yeah, the winner gets this one. No, what I want to do is, from my perspective, everybody who enters for this particular next round of it that they do, and they get quite a few people doing it. If you go and follow us, subscribe to us, maybe YouTube. I'll probably say YouTube. YouTube or a few other platforms, or even more. Go check out our Valley for Valley model. You'll go into the draw and I'll give it away. I'll just do it by random, kind of how we did for the suits way back in the day. And I like that advertising model. I'm going to give someone away, something that basically just came to me for free. And how do I give it away? And also that it will value to us. What are your thoughts around that? Would that be helpful? What's your...
If anything, it'll just prove to yourself that you're not in it for the financial gains of the cock punch, which is very much getting close to the meme type of side of NFT thing. So yeah, man,
you'd be fine if I collated them like that.
Do whatever you want, man.
So there you go. I'm
it's a
locking
mere mortal partnership. You can do what you feel is.
I'm locking it in. So I will send through a message through Discord for the Tim fans. So if you want to check that out, do so.
Worth thinking about what you actually want them to do, though.
Yes, exactly right.
That might be something we should talk about.
Yeah, and look, we'll loop back at the end of this podcast when we talk through of how you can support us, and you'll see probably where it will heavily lie in what we're asking for people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, dude, one of the things I've been doing recently was, if you checked out the monthly goals, I'd been doing a bunch of pistol squats, dragon squats, one-legged stuff, like fucking tiger, crane man. Got to live up to my One Punch Man moniker here. So everything I do from now on is just one-handed, one-armed, everything. And after that happened, I was like, well, okay, what's another kind of leg-based thing? Because I do a lot of handstands, but you can only do so much handstands per session. And I do like to add some supplementary work, whether it be abs, whether it be calisthenics, whether it be hip flexors or things like that.
Yep. And
I was thinking, okay, well, what could I do for legs? I don't particularly like lifting weights, so I don't really want to do squats or deadlifts or anything like that. What's an ambition, a goal? And I went, I'd really like to get the standing split. I think that'd just be a fucking cool thing to do. So I've started doing a bunch of kind of ballet type moves, really just working on the hip flexors.
And wait, just to be super clear as well for people, because what first came into my mind, I went, oh no, it's not that. It's not going up into a handstand and just opening your legs. You're talking going into a handstand and basically how you'd be on the ground doing a split, but in a handstand mode.
No. Not even handstand related. I'm just talking about one leg is on the ground and my other leg is up here.
Okay, so I got it completely
standing
wrong.
split.
Right.
Yeah. So, should have elaborated. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for confirming.
So to do that, a lot of ballet type movements, kicking your legs up, hooking your hand under your knee, really just trying to get your bulgy hip flexors
while holding
going.
your leg. Like, are you allowed to do it while holding your leg, or you want to?
Well,
do
that's
it
how you have
unassisted?
to kind of start, I guess.
But the ultimate goal is unassisted.
The
standing
ultimate
split.
goal is there's this movie I once watched. I'm pretty sure it was the Drunken Master or something like that. It was a Jackie Chan movie. He's a drunken master. He drinks from his gourd, gets all fucked up, and then he fights in this really crazy.
I think I haven't seen
Jackie
it, but I've
Chan
seen
style.
like reels.
Really,
like,
it's
clips
great.
of it.
It's great. It's an awesome movie. And one of the boss characters he fights is this dude in a suit. And he walks in, and then he just straight up, starts lifting his leg, and his leg just keeps going up and up until he is... Imagine doing a side split. So your legs are going out, not kind of front to back, but out to the sides. And imagine that, but turn 90 degrees. So one foot is on the ground, the other is up, and then his body is kind of horizontal. His torso is horizontal.
It's an impressive,
to the
assertive
ground.
move, for sure.
Fucking gangster, man. I saw that ages ago and was like, whoa, did you see that shit? Amazing. So kind of something like that. I'll settle for one where it's more like the standing front version. So my foot's facing forward and I'm kind of like dragging the other up. But to do this, I was like, okay, I need to start doing some research. And I was also starting to do some planche work. I need to know how to do the planche better. I haven't really researched this. There are some absolute beasts on YouTube. These kind of unknown, unnamed. They're not super popular because they haven't spent the time to build up an audience, to edit their videos properly, to get a nice camera.
But they're beasts.
But there's this one guy, Massimo Kokhno, Kokhno.
Okay.
The cock theme.
The cock theme is strong
happening today. Yep. And this dude has the most ridiculous leg workouts I have ever seen. Do you know what a Nordic curl is? Have you done them before?
Is that the one for the hamstring?
Yes. So you basically lock your legs in, your shins are touching the ground, you lock your ankles in under something, and you're basically lowering your torso down to the ground. So it's really working on your hamstrings. Incredibly hard. I can't even do the negative. And let alone going back up. This guy is doing kind of reps on those, but he'll be strapping his legs in kind of vertically. So he's doing it from kind of a dead hang, almost a handstand position, but his legs are locked into something. And then he's lifting all the way up against gravity to get up.
Damn.
And he's just this skinny Italian guy. And it's a classic kind of calisthenics body type. Shredded, but not jacked, I guess is maybe how you would say that. So he doesn't just have the bulk of muscle. Another chick, Mihaela Karkia. I think she's definitely Eastern European.
I was going to say.
Crazy handstands. Just so flexible, so strong as well. Skinny as hell. And I'm just looking at them and I'm going, I can't ever see myself getting to this level. I cannot ever do this. But what I wanted to ask you though was for research, for form. So you're starting a kind of new exercise. You started doing the CrossFit 2 years ago, something like that.
Something like that.
What do you do if you're looking to start researching a new activity, I guess, or something new that's physical? How do you know, okay, what form should I be following? How often should I roughly be doing this? What level am I coming in at? Do you have any rules of thumb for research?
There was one that I heard, which I think I kind of follow in a way, or at least a lead in from this way, which is, I want to make sure I get this right. I'm pretty sure it's methods of many, concepts of few. I believe that's what it actually is. And fundamentally by that is looking at something like a new exercise. Let's just take here one that both of us are not really looking at as a new exercise, but a squat, in that there is a truckload of methods that you could apply to a squat in the sense of volume, speed, power, bar, assisted, body weight, all these. Like you could go permutations. Lots of methods of doing a squat, all the way from no weight to lots of weight and assisted in all different barbells. But the concepts of an exercise are few, right? And that could be, you want to call it the principles of something, of an exercise. You can call it the concept. You can call it the idea, whatever have you. there are few. And so I would probably begin the research or the understanding of an exercise on what is the concept. And here in movement, so specifically in movement, the more I would probably recommend is it's the hinges, the positioning points, even to the fundamentals of there's muscles, there's joints, there's tendons, how does all of them sort of apply in the particular movement that you're looking to do? Or if you're trying to specifically optimize, what does that look like? And then what do those concepts look like in its movement pattern? So what I mean by this, there's different methods in a squat, but if the concept to a squat around, let's just talk the 90-degree angle, the concept of how deep you go into a squat has very strong dependence on the reason as to why. So if the concept for you is, I want to do it to meet a certain requirement for a competition, powerlifting competition, CrossFit competition, whatever have you, you have to go crease or below. That's just what you're going to do. Now, the concept of it being better from a muscle building perspective or a joint perspective, that can be separate, right? But they're all concepts around it. However, if you're looking to do its power output or you just want to get speed or something, sure as hell don't have to go to 90 degrees. In fact, you probably should go to 45 degrees and just bounce up out of it as much power. That's a different concept. So the methods then can permutate between that. But I go, if it's a new exercise, let's just say like this standing split, basically. I go, okay, well, what's the concept behind it? Which again comes down to muscular flexibility. A few of the other sort of touch points would go, what enables you as a concept to do that? And then the methods, you go wild because if the concept is, okay, well, you need to have quite strong hip flexors or hip abductors. Okay, well, that's as a concept, it's stronger, not more flexible, not more powerful, not more speed. It's stronger, or maybe it's flexible. Okay, cool. That's the concept that you need to optimize for. Go and figure out the method and how the fuck you want to do it. Then you go and do your research of what's the methods that I can do to make my hip abductor much more flexible. You can do this stretch routine, that stretch routine. You can hang your balls off a cliff. I don't care. It's it's plenty of different ideas, but then that goes into the method. So I'd go, methods are many, concepts are few. And that came from a guy Andrew Huberman was talking to about, and I'm forgetting his name, but I'll bring it up.
While you look it up. For me, I think one of the things is I need for them to...
Andy Galpin. Dr. Andy Galpin.
Brilliant. One of the things I need someone to do, if I'm going to listen to them in a physical sense, in terms of trying to reach a goal, trying to do a specific movement or something, I need them to have done it themselves. I need them to prove, and whether this be via video, well, mostly by video, I guess, or just by sheer accomplishments if they're older, i.e. if it's a coach who, or someone who used to be in the Olympics, I'm assuming they know how to do the iron cross or something like that.
Sure.
So I just don't think I'd ever be able to listen to the coach who's amazing coach, but he's never played soccer himself. I don't think I'd be able to get past that barrier, which I think is kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing or not, but for me, it's just, I need them to have proven that they could do it themselves.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they have to. So to give an example, if I was trying to teach someone about a squat, but I'd either never really done a squat because I'd done leg presses all the time, I think I'd be able to impart enough things to them to learn, but there is a barrier. There is something to be said around the minutia of when you're doing it, then learning about the specifics there. Because, from fitness perspective, and it might be different in other practices, a lot of the studies, of the research, of what actually comes out is years behind what in practice is being done. Anecdotally, people are finding through. And, kind of in the, what's his name? I'll remember in a moment. But in one of the books around learning, right, The Art of Learning, by Josh Waitzkin. So the whole concept of the more of a master you become at a certain thing means that you can be more relaxed or calm about the generalness of the movement or the activity, and then you start honing in, zeroing in on more specific things, all the way to the point, as a master, everything else is running on autopilot, and you're just focusing on that particular thing. Something to be said about that when you're a master of your craft, at handstands, or at running, or at squatting, or at lifting. For us, I'd probably say we're not masters. We're intermediate going into advanced, for you on the handstand and calisthenics, probably for me from a lifting perspective, to the point that yes, I could name you things about the squat, right? And I can text you about squat. But now that I've done squatting for, honestly, who knows how many reps, thousands, tens of thousands of reps, I could probably say, oh, by the way, like, I know this particular feeling on your lower back if you're in this position, or on your knees in this particular way, or if you slightly, put yourself with your chest out and you look at this angle rather than that angle, at least for me, and I can provide like extra things where if you'd never really done it that much, you wouldn't know. You just wouldn't know. Here's an example. I do handstands. Not rarely, but in comparison to you, rarely. But I do handstands more than the general population. I could tell someone how to kind of do a handstand. There's some aspects of the breath and the holding your stomach and the positioning and maybe the head wobble, somewhat. But that is laughable to the level of what you would be able to give in terms of the detail of someone talking about something, right? And then beyond these,
maybe because I dislike teaching people stuff. So.
But if you had to, I think it's in.
If I had to, yes.
Well, no, not even teaching. Probably... It's in the description.
Yeah.
It's in the
in describing things.
Like if I was to do a handstand, I can describe to you some aspects of my hands, maybe some of my head, some of my stomach, barely, and some about my feet. But you could get very, very detailed onto, I can feel when my head is in this position and looking this way and my eyes are pointing this. I don't get that at all, not even close. I'm not around that. Same thing goes for squats. Because for me, even let's take a more technical one, overhead squats, right? Which you probably haven't done any overhead squats before.
I've done, but not much.
Right, so for me, I could tell you about, the sitting in your shoulders, pushing it out of your shoulders, the feeling when it's slightly forward, backwards, all of those things where for you, maybe you're just focusing on it's just kind of holding it.
Just keep it roughly vertical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's
don't fall forward. That was what I always did.
So I think that's a good call out. There's got to be a level of having experienced the deeper layers of the onion when it comes into fitness, some of these movements, because you just won't know otherwise. And even if someone tells you about them, you won't understand it either. You could tell me all you want, and you have, about the positioning of your eyes or your head when you're doing handstands. So what? It doesn't mean anything to me really, because I can conceptualize it, but I can't put it into practice, nor in practice can it do anything for me because I'm just not at that level.
Yeah. Coaching's such a tricky one. Receiving coaching, which is why I never do it myself. A good friend of mine, Lucas, he's just been having some troubles with a coach that he had, and it seems like such a minefield because his coach is amazing. Really, really great handstander, but in terms of the way that he was delivering it, it's almost like it's not even about the technique, the details. It's more just the content delivery and whatnot. I'm becoming much more appreciative of the small minutiae of,
for sure,
even just on the editing, not saying whatnot, not saying or like, and fixing up. For example, I'm going to do it on this one, try and eliminate a little bit of the wind. I never really bothered before because it required getting deep into the audio spectrum and doing these certain things. But if you spend a certain amount of time researching YouTube channels, you will find someone who has gone deep enough. Mike from Music Radio Creative, for example, he gets real deep into the audition stuff. For the planche stuff, I was looking at, have you heard of this guy called Simonster? Aussie guy, just a beast at the planche. Really, really, really strong. Now, he's probably less than 6 foot, which helps, but there's still a lot to be learned from him. And it's in the getting into the 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours worth of their content where you can start to see, okay, this is the little gems which they're throwing out, which you're never going to get on a shorts or a reels. It's too short. You need the longer thing.
Here's my call out for someone who's listening to a reel of the Mere Mortals podcast as well, right? Because it's kind of similar. And if this is real, very good. So you're going to get what we try to give you as the core content or maybe the highlight in a reel, right? And that's going to be, hey, this is a good call out. Woohoo, it's a big thing. But if you want to get the real content, the real gems, sometimes we might summarize them in the reel, but you'll get them much better delivered, much better structured, and probably in a more consumable way to your brain through the whole podcast. So go listen to the fucking goddamn whole podcast. Because honestly, this is the same thing for other reels that I'll watch and it might motivate me, right? So like a David Goggins one or something calling out very specific, and it might deliver like a line, the 1% rule, get 1% better every day, and by the end of the year you'll get this. And so that's good. That's like the good meat, and yes, the kernel of truth behind that is awesome. But then when you listen to a full podcast, hell, you read a whole book about it. There's those little nuances, the peeling back the onion, layers by layer, that you go, oh, now it means a whole load more. There's a lot more detail here. if I was to listen to some of the Ryan Holiday Second Back podcasts and that's all I'd written, I'd go, fuck this shit. Like, I'm not, the advertising's annoying. It's not even that great sometimes, the feedback that he does. But you go and read the book and it's a whole different experience. Now, it's slightly different there, but, it's just completely different. And the gems that you find behind that are, not even comparable. So there is sometimes a problem of, hey, sometimes you have to just get through the muck to find the shining gems within.
It's because you have to contradict yourself, I think. If you listen to someone speak for 45 minutes on a topic on an overhead squat, if you did that, I bet you would say contradictory things 3 times, 4 times at least, where, it's essential you do this one thing and then
it just swaps.
10 minutes later, you'd casually mention about how that's not important.
Sure. And that can be sometimes in the just free-flowing speech. But also you see this in, if you really pay attention, some books when they have to talk about a lot of topics, it's kind of contradictory. And I thought for a long time that it was contradictory, but I now take it more in the sense of, it's more of the dichotomy behind it. And that's one of the things I was going to call out in the Ryan Holiday latest book for Discipline and Destiny, is there's a lot of times when it's, discipline with yourself. You have to really be going at it. There's some portions of the hustle, but then in the next chapter, he'll talk about, but you've got to be kind to yourself. At the first point, I went reading it through, and is this contradictory? Like, what's going on here? But if you really, now that I've seen it, I've read enough of Ryan Holiday, I know enough about what his writings are and his style, I go, oh, no, I can see it's the nuance, it's the dichotomy, not the contradictoriness of it. And I think you'll find that if you really listen to I find this too, I listen to some really deep podcasts that go into it for, quite a long time, and I could feel like, it's starting to be contradictory, but when I listen to it enough, I go, no, this is the very, very small nuance that comes through. I'll give you a very particular example for that Andrew Huberman and Andy Galpin series. And by the way, this is, I don't know if I've ever ranked podcasts like episodes or whatever, but this series of Andy Galpin and Andrew Huberman, from a fitness health perspective, it's a 6-parter. Each one's about 2.5 hours to 3 hours. So it's a long, man. I'm on the last part of the series, episode 6 basically. Has to be in the top 5 series I've ever heard of in any podcast, any talk, anything. I even include it in books, man. It's so packed of information, ridiculous amounts to from a beginner level all the way through quite advanced. In any case, we're talking about water in the nutrition supplementation aspect of it. And again, he gives kind of rules of thumb and then, milliliters per the kilogram and pounds type of observation. But then you could say that he contradicts himself because then he changes it for another example. But then you go, oh no, it's very example driven. It's very outcome driven, because if you are a runner and you're doing this, it's kind of optimal. That's what you want, but you don't want to do that if you're just stable or you're doing something else. So it does change and differ. Even to an example of, if I even tried to remember what it was, I'll get this wrong, but it was a check on your blood reading. And it said, if you've had this reading during this time, then you'd be really concerned. You'd be like, oh, damn, he should be in the hospital. You need to go get checked out. But if it was just after you train, a really intense session, you go, oh, no, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So it is very, very time dependent. And you could go, oh, this is contradictory. What do you mean you want it on time and you don't want it on the other? And if you heard a reel which went, oh my God, if your systolic pressure was this and after this happened, go to the hospital. But then you actually looked into the layers and go, oh no, but it actually is fine here at this particular time and it's not fine at this time. And he even gave some extreme examples around just before, you're going to bed, or when you're waking up in the middle of the night. If you're waking up and you have to go piss, but you've got a dry mouth, it means this. If you really, really thirsty and you have to eat, it's this. And there's, again, he kind of then said, but you could change because of all these things. Again, there's a lot of detail within the onions that it could change for sure.
Does do you feel like it got too deep into the things about water? I mean, it's just,
look, for me,
it's just fucking water.
Look, for me, it got deep enough. This is not a series you would listen to if you were
a casual observer.
Yeah, if you're a casual observer, but you care about this sort of stuff, then it'd be really up your alley. It wouldn't be up your alley if you are such a person that you just want to kind of get told, hey, this is what you're going to do, or you don't care about the minutiae of exact water intake or carbohydrate or recovery. Probably not for you.
Yeah, I was thinking recently about how much I have been recently, well, not recently, just it became more apparent to me that I've been saying a lot of things which I can't verify, or the verification is shaky. I did this reel recently on the podcast with last week, where we were talking about Coinbase, and I was saying, all these regulations are great and whatnot, but then you see someone who set up a bunch of shorts for the 4-day thing, to short coin thing, and they turned 100K into several million. And I was kind of insinuating, that's probably someone who knew about this information pre-hand and whatnot. I have no fucking clue if that's true. Do you know how many degenerate gamblers are out there? You've just heard Juan talk about fucking cockpunch NFTs for 20 minutes. And, that's just like a fun random thing. This could have just been a person who's like, fucking coin. Let's just see what happens. Let's just do something. And they could have expected to maybe make, 10% back on what they were doing instead of just getting lucky as shit.
Well, this is the same as
so much lucky bullshit out there.
Like Drake, Drake's gambling. Have you seen how much Drake gambles?
No.
Dude gambles like hard. Like he puts $1 million on a 1.2 return.
Okay.
Like sport. Like
is this one of those ones though where he's streaming it and so people watch and so he can kind of make enough money back? My brother followed this guy who did that. He would make these $1,000 pushes, $10,000 pushes on just slot machines or online things, but he was kind of getting sponsored by the gambling things themselves, so it's kind of like
look, it might be because I'm pretty sure it's one of the crypto casinos that is being used through there, so maybe that is the case.
Yeah.
But apparently he's known as a big sport gambler. Yeah. Like he's a big gambler, so
he probably gets a rush.
Imagine someone like that being like, I've got hundreds of millions of dollars. Let's short them just to see what happens. Yeah. And bam, it hits. Yeah. So no, you're right. As time goes on, again, the way that I try to describe things or tell people, again, here's a direct example for probably my little girl into the future. I've been really getting into and hearing there's a lot more of how to teach kids as they're growing up, how to do things or when they ask you about things and the understanding. And one of those discussions was, if they ask you something, generally, and I'm talking like an older child here, you'll probably know the answer generally. And then they're going to ask you another why, and then you're going to go down the path.
And then you get to the point where you're like, just because, or
exactly. And I actually hear this from a lot of parents. Like, you're gonna really hate this. You're gonna hear that. Right now, at this point, obviously, I can't say what I'm gonna feel like. But I go, man, dude, I love that. This is what I love. I love talking like this and finding it out. But I went, actually, one better would be to help the child out, and this again, you can extrapolate to human on. Now, how would you figure this out, right? Like, what are the various ways you can go and figure this out? And that might be, let's Google it, right? So. Yeah, asking that, but then asking him even further of, okay, what's another way you might be able to prove this? And so this comes to this particular sort of piece where sometimes in validating, I think most generally mere mortals just have a hard time to validate something because they don't know how to actually go about doing this. With an inexperienced person, for us now it's pretty easy, but let's just say, any type of crypto scanner, it'll be pretty simple for us, even if you've never used it before, just because you've got some understanding of where to go and find out, I want to see exactly where there's transactions happening, how many mints is going through, what blocks is going through, all of those details to kind of track it through. I was shitting balls yesterday when I was selling my Cardano, dude. It was taking forever. I exchanged it to Bitcoin. It took 20 minutes and I was sweating balls and I knew what to do. Like I knew where to look and find this information.
Still nervous.
But again, so that retrospective, if I was to have to teach someone, I wouldn't tell them, go and do this and this and this because, as much as I know that it worked for me or it's worked for me, it might not for them. And it's, whether it's a kid or older, it's getting them to understand, how would you figure this out? And then let's go on for a kid example is, cool. So you think this and this and this might be the way that we figure out if a dinosaur still exists? Let's go do that now and let's go prove it. And they can essentially find their answer. And then if they want to ask more whys, they can almost do that on their own right to finding it. Again, if the kid's younger and you don't want them using internet or something like that, you can maybe figure out other means or ask them different questions. But it's that aspect of, I understand more and more now that as much as you have an answer, it might not be the right answer. It might not be delivered the way that the other person's going to understand it. And maybe leading them to the water is going to be much more helpful than just spouting it out. So I look, we'll see how that applies. Obviously, when I'm annoyed at 2 a.m. and someone's asking me a question, I'll be like, I'm not going to be like, let's go find the internet. I'll be like, no, you have to sleep now.
Yeah.
So
I want to ask you something more about that, but I've been noticing probably the last 2 years, I'd say, I've kind of been shifting away from what I would have described the scientific method and going into more observations, basing more decisions around personal observations from myself or from from others. And I was going like, ooh, Kyron, this is kind of risky territory because this is where you get into, just the bias that comes from humans or from, as a word that's not jumping into my brain right away, but, it's because it's them, they said that, that's like, oh yeah, that must be true. And when I was thinking about it more, I went, okay, well, what is the scientific method? And really, when it gets down to it, it needs to be provable, and I need to be able to do it, I feel. And, well, that's the whole point. It needs to be replicable. And the most valid way that I can do that is by doing it myself. Now, obviously, I don't have a particle collider in my basement. So I'm not going to be trying to verify, did we find out the Higgs boson? Did, this experimental thing work or not? Obviously not. But a lot more decisions when it comes to, should I take vitamins or not? Things that actually matter to me. The Higgs boson, maybe that'll matter to me in 10 years' time when someone creates something that couldn't have been created without that. AR, the new stuff coming out from Apple, there's probably some tech in there which required some breakthroughs that I would never be able to verify myself. Probably thousands, because they got thousands of patents and whatnot. But things that apply to me, how to planch, what should I eat, what kind of media consumption is good or not. That's where I'm putting a lot more weight on just my own observations and kind of select other people around me, because I know the nuances. I know that guy who's really into Bitcoin and he acts like this way and he's giving me some recommendations on carbs. That one I can kind of go, I think you're kind of trapped in this little bit of a Bitcoin. There's a mix of people where you can kind of see it's, super traditional values, Bitcoin, self-custody, eating meat, fuck the mainstream media. It's just the way he was talking was like,
sure.
You're saying carbs are bad for me. You're saying intermittent fasting is not good. I've been doing this shit for 7 years and I feel fucking fantastic. Yeah, I don't think I need to, consider your views on this as rock solid.
Sure.
And even if you could produce a whole lot of science which says this is the best way to do it on average for humans.
Yeah, I think I sometimes speak about it on the podcast, and I think about it on my own right about time domains with a lot of things. I'm becoming much more of a fan now of asking the question of, I'm not saying it like an idiot all the time, like optimize, but it is that, like, what are you optimizing for? What is it that you're selecting for to go towards? Because in the end, if someone actually asked me that, rather than even verifying, I would probably ask that question of, okay, like, what is it that you're aiming for? What's the optimization to do that? Because again, the answer of, carbs are needed. You need abs, carbs. Well, again, if you're optimizing for what, like if you're working out twice a day, and so you need the glycogen recovery, and then you do have a pretty limited amount of time to go and do that, well, then fucking absolutely. There's a reason. There's reasonable reasons for that, and to optimize for you to train and become better, you need that. Cool. But if you don't, like it's a more skill based, like a handstand, I probably doubt that. You probably don't need that. That's not a thing. And so I think the word you optimize for, and also sometimes asking that question of people gets them also to realize that, I just made a blanket statement. And this comes back to us as well. When we make what seems to be a blanket statement about something like, hey, this particular type of camera is woeful. Okay, we're optimizing for it to be great quality for the video and picks up this. But we don't need it to pick up audio, right? We don't need it to do this because we're using microphones. While someone out there might be like, oh no, but it's good for me because it's picking up this audio in the best way. Okay, we got it wrong. So it's not about getting it wrong. It's about, well, if you're being quite particular and precise, that's the other one I've been liking this recently, precise about what you're optimizing for, then you can get closer to the truth and maybe replicate and get to that more scientific basis of, okay, can I replicate it as a verifiable in that way for a particular reason? Not, maybe not many people will, conceptualize with this, but if you're writing a master's or a thesis or a PhD or something like that, you don't just fucking write, hey, I want to prove that, all trees are blue or all trees are green. Like that's such a large scope of a question that you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it in 3 years. That's dumb. You need to get really quite precise. One of my theses, I think, was studying the damages in cable stayed suspension bridges by vibrational analysis, right? So it's pretty like finite on what the hell it is. Even then, it was still not, close enough to really, when I was doing the work for it. It needed to be even more like cable stayed suspension bridges with this exactness of whatever, right? So it's precision that you need, optimization that you need for it to kind of work out well and verify it. You're not gonna. There's no such thing out there. Go look it up. There's no such study out there that is, broad-reaching, not precise, not really optimized, that then has this wonderful verification, because it's just such an insane amount of information that would have to go and get verified for that it's almost not even replicable. By the time you redo it again, everything has changed. All the parameters have changed. So it's like, well, that's pointless.
What would you rate your thesis on in terms of adding to the scientific knowledge?
Zero completely. I probably took away from the university. I took away from like someone else getting the money. I took away time. I probably took away from using the fucking vibrational methods on it. Negative contribution to society.
I was saying this to Pete Smithson when on that conversation. Mine was about underground mine seals. I can't even remember what it was called, but it was basically how to seal an underground mine in after closure or something like that.
Yep.
The amount of cherry picking of data, of buzzwords, of lack of data, of waffle, it's astounding to me that not only did I get a good grade, but I probably wrote something that is better than almost everyone that I did my course with. And I just go like, I hope that thing never gets cited, or it gets cited as an example of bad science maybe, because it was just so shit. And that was what made me disillusioned with university right at the end, where I just went, this is like the masterpiece. This is what it's, you start your bachelor's course and this is the big thing. This is, it's the magnum opus. Is going to, 4 years of hard work. It's going to culminate in this. It was just so bad. Yeah. And I knew it was so bad.
Dude,
oh, man.
For all the engineers out there who play around with bridges, especially cable state suspension, and you wanted to learn something about vibrational analysis and how you can deal with it for fractures and preventative measures, fucked you over. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Oh, bad. Next bridge that falls in Australia is definitely Juan's fault.
All right.
No. One more question. One more. So you were talking about, with your daughter and how a couple of things you'd be wanting to teach her, and you want to make sure you're not going to the just because stage or being one of those people. I see it all the time at the calisthenics park, because a lot of kids are with their parents around there. It's just sad, man. Just go, oh man, that poor kid. That's a bad foot to start off with someone, a parent interacting with them like that. What do you think about yourself fretting over the small decisions? So we kind of talked about this a while ago, where you were looking at her sleep patterns and you had this graph and stuff, and it was going too crazy. Do you think you're going to be doing over that? And like Pete was saying, he was also saying, yeah, he reckons it's maybe 70%, 80% nature, and there's only 20 or 30% of what he can do actually influences his child. Do you reckon you're going to be going down that alley, or do you still reckon your decisions are going to have big impact on Vienna's life?
Oh,
what do you reckon?
Not at all. Not at all. I even more, like, I know in my personal life, like that doesn't really come to pass, and even as it goes on in time, it's becoming even more prevalent that I just don't really sweat that as much. And so I think, it won't be as important. And it's, when you say tracking, it does the tracking, and it's nice to see like, oh, she's had this much, but I don't put any extra detail behind it. And I'm even moving away from that in my own sleep patterns, more so on the averages, over 3 months. If it's getting worse or better, okay, assess it. But I'm not per day almost looking at it and being like, oh, this much deep sleep or REM sleep or anything.
Is any of her personality starting to shine through, or she's still just too young, you think?
A tiny little bit, but you won't see that until they're really starting to move about, like crawl themselves.
Talk a little bit.
Do the giggles and smiles, but none of that comes until a few months into it. So
cool.
We'll see a little bit of far away.
We'll check back in on that.
Exactly. All right, we're going to wrap it up, folks, there. So again, this is the Meanderings podcast. We do it outdoors, and we do this for you, mere mortalites at home. We ask, of course, that you support us by the main way, which is the Valley for Valley model. That is, you send through a boostergram or stream through some Satoshis to us directly. That supports the podcast to continue. It helps us to make the time to do this. The best ways you can do that is going to the new podcasting apps out there, which is things like Cast-O-Matic, Podfriend, Fountain.
New one you can do is Podverse is good. A new one you can boost through on is Podcast Guru. Another one now that's you're able to. What I would actually recommend is get Alby.com. Their wallet and their system is, once you've got some Satoshis on there, it's very, very easy to use with a lot Curocaster, Podverse, Podcast Guru, and I think Castomatic as well. I don't know because I don't have an Apple app, so Apple device, so I can't verify with that one. But yeah, using that wallet system is really easy, and it's kind of all you need to have is mere mortals at getalby.com, password, bam, you can link that in lots of places.
So that's a big call out.
That's probably the call out for me.
And the other places, of course, you can support us through our YouTube channel, all the other platforms where we do hear our audio. You can go there and subscribe. You can follow us through. You can share it with a friend. All of that helps out.
Sharing, hit that share button.
Yeah, it does for sure help out. And look, go play around with things. We're trying to update the website with a lot of different things. I know Karen's going to be working on it.
Still working.
There's training that I'm throwing up. It's basically my training, and if it helps you out, go check it out. Might be fun. Again, thinking whether I do a separate podcast and whatnot, depending on time frames and whatnot.
Yeah, we've still got to talk about that.
We'll see. But yeah, beyond that, I hope you have enjoyed Me Immortalites. Us back outdoors. This is I think it's a month and a bit that we haven't done this. So hopefully plenty of reels that come out of this and you enjoy it. And for all the haters who for sure will be there, I'm enjoying seeing you. I actually started responding to one of them that was talking to you about it. I thought I'm going to respond to it directly. But look, I appreciate nonetheless that they're at least participating.
I find them amusing.
I find them amusing. And sometimes I go, look, it's kind of good. It actually increases the throughput of probably people coming to check out our podcast. So, to the haters, thank you very much. The Immortalites, that's all.
The haters.
One out.
Karen out.
Go.
Rock on.